All right, welcome ladies. I'm excited to show you the new and improved masterclass, Understanding the #1 Secret to Communication with Your Husband. I'm going to dive straight into it. So stay connected on the chat. We will do Q&As later. And here we go. All right. Let me know if you can see the slides. Okay, so you just want to know if you're in the right place, and also the people watching on replay. Do you want to spend an hour or an hour and a half listening to this? Yes, if you can say yes to this, then you are in the right place and you should stay here and pay attention. If you're wanting to create a better relationship and stop fighting, you got to want to create a better relationship. That's got to be an aim, a wish, a desire inside of you. If you're willing, not only just wanting, but if you're willing to look at what you can do right now, this is for you. And if you're open to a new path in a different way, open is a key word, and ready. So you're ready to finally get a different result by thinking and acting differently, please answer in the chat if you are ready. Stay connected so I know that you're out there and you're not falling asleep. So another reason to stay till the end is after we go through the content, I'm going to share the one thing I did. And it is really one simple thing, maybe not easy, but one simple thing I did after many, many years of fighting that completely changed everything around. So it's what made me become the leader and not the follower of my emotions. And we're going to go through that as soon as I cover the content of understanding the #1 secret, not just knowing it, but really understanding it. Yes. So that's one reason to stay till the end of the content, but also you'll get my calendar link at the end of the presentation and you can book a free call with me. And during that free call, you may have a breakthrough. We may find out it's a match. You may enroll in my program. We never know, but you'll get to talk to me for free. We'll get to connect, and I get to rearrange some of the stories in your head and some of the stuff that may be standing in the way of you enjoying the love and the life that you really desire. Okay, we may do this video of what one conversation did transform, which was really magic. And I can't believe it. So if we have time, I'll show you that one, the video of what one conversation did. All right, let's get into it. So just imagine, I want you to really imagine this. What if the way to get what you want is the exact opposite of what you're doing right now? So think about that. What if that is the exact opposite of what you're doing is the way to get everything that you want in your relationship? What if you didn't have to wait for your husband to do something different? Imagine that. Think about that. What if you can get everything you want right now? And imagine this. Just play around with this thought because it truly is true. Imagine if there's a valuable gift in everything, a gift of learning in everything that triggers you and annoys you about your husband. So everything that seems to be a problem, what if that was a very, very valuable thing? What if every trigger was a gold mine? Imagine that. How rich would you be? That's how rich I am today. I had a marriage filled with triggers. So if you don't know my story, I'll get into that briefly, but I grew up with a lot of love and a lot of hate. And I relived that in my own marriage, which was filled with a lot of loving, but a lot of fighting. And we were really, really stuck. And I was able to turn it around by understanding what you're about to learn today. So how rich would you be? I don't know, answer me in the chat, please. Stay connected if you have triggers in your marriage. It may not be like crazy fighting and throwing things around, but if you just feel you get triggered, you get annoyed, you get stuck, it just doesn't turn out the way you want. So that's me. I founded the 12 steps to lead with love. And I also made it into 3 quick ones that we'll get into today. But this is basically what I teach when I teach my women. We start 1 week, we practice 1 step at a time. And then what happens is we get to 12 step, number 12, many times we fail and recommit, but then we land on a step that we've already practiced and we get better at it and we get better at it. So that's briefly what I do and what I teach. And I'm known to be very authentic. That's the #1 feedback that I get. So this is what I experienced in my marriage. Words being like, like hand grenades. Like I wanted to say something nice to him and he got hurt, then I got hurt, that he got so hurt. So I don't know if you've experienced this, that words can really, really hurt. They're like, they can cut so deep and you get so sad when he misunderstands you and you just, something happens with the words that just cut you like a knife. So let me know if that resonates with you. And this is what we're saying to each other when we're shouting. This is basically what we're saying. It comes out in different ways. We're screaming at each other that we want to make love. Just want to make sure that I am still connected and I am still recording. Hold on. Yes, I am. Cool. I will get back to the screen. And you're all still with me. Perfect. All right. Hide video. There we go. So this is the journey. This is the journey that I went through, and this is the journey that I'm going to help you get through really fast. So from war to frustration to peaceful bliss and happy times. That is the journey. And the longest journey of your life, or of my life, was frustration, and then to get to connection and to peaceful bliss. And here's what I discovered. It only takes 1 second, and it really does. I've seen it again and again, and I've tried it. And it seems impossible because it seems like we're just stuck, right? I don't know if you can relate to that, being completely stuck. And then all of a sudden, we're at bliss, but we didn't know how we got there. So I'm going to give you the tools, and I'm going to give you the roadmap on how to get from frustration to connection, so you can enjoy that peaceful bliss and the love that's really possible after you make love, when you look into each other's eyes, that feeling and that vibration. Don't give up, because it's right around the corner. You're literally, if you just use all your energy and all your wanting, I'm assuming you're like me, you want a good relationship, you're so ambitious, and the ambition just stands in the way because of what I'm about to tell you. So don't give up. That's the key. Don't ever give up. So I don't know if you're looking that bored yet, but you might be thinking, why should this work? Why is this any different? So I want to give you some examples to get your hope up, to get to put you in possibility. Okay. So this is a lady that I was talking about in the beginning. She just found me on Facebook. And like you can see here, she had a really tough time with my partner. Since we had our twin boys nearly 3 years ago now, we weren't together very long at all before we had the boys. So we were struggling, trying to get to know each other, probably bringing up the boys. It's been really hard emotionally. We argue a lot. We don't really have a lot of respect for each other. I'm scared that we will break up, when really and truly, I would like to save this for us all, especially for our boys. So this was her state of mind before. And I just found an email she wrote to me after we booked the call. And she's like, I know we're not booked until, but this is what I'm feeling. So she was feeling desperate, anxious, and depressed. I'm extremely concerned about my anger issues. I feel like it will affect the kids. And I just saw that email that she wrote to me after booking the session, and we didn't have the session yet. So this was really her state of mind. So this was after our one call we had together. It wasn't an optimal call at all. She was in a cafe, there was background noise, the internet was cutting in and out. For some reason, a miracle happened. That's why you should really pay attention and be open to the fact that it can change when you take this in that I'm about to teach you or show you or let you experience for yourself. Okay. So I thought I'd update you on how my relationship is going. Firstly, I'd like to mention again, my one conversation with Amanda helped me see things from a different perspective. Samantha, sorry, helped me get out of the same rut and bad habits and patterns that weren't getting me anywhere. The constant blaming and arguing. So I took Samantha's advice and tried seeing things from his point of view, tried to understand how he felt and try to change the things around instead of confronting him, just acting with more love and understanding from my part. I can tell you that it works. When they see that you're not fighting or getting angry, just trying to forget the negativity and changing and becoming more positive, then he will show you you have changed, and it will make him change too, and therefore improve the relationship, which is basically what we want. All right, she said. So this was the last part of the message. Even when we're in a good place, after speaking to Samantha, Maddie noticed that change in me and said to me, I don't know what you're doing, but keep on doing it. He was happier and I was happier. So this is one conversation where it really sunk in to her to do things in like the opposite direction or the opposite order of things, of twisting our mind just around a little bit. So this is for you if you're thinking, why should this work? So as another example, And the woman with the twins actually mentions it on the video. She tried a psychologist and it didn't work. And this really does work in the relationship if you're stuck fighting. And this is another one that's been in therapy for years. She was stuck in her stories. One session made her see things differently and believe in herself. So for some that have tried normal therapy, don't get discouraged. Still listen to what I'm saying and try it at home. This is different. Okay, it's very different. It's very simple. This is Denise, and I want you to see what she's saying. It's like he's been listening into these recordings. It's like he's been listening to the calls. He has been showing me in so many ways that he loves me. He tries to be cleaner. He talks so much nicer to me. We've had the most awesome talks, even about feelings. Imagine that, talking to your husband about feelings. I know that was my #1 thing I wanted to do. And this is from Denise. So she was 52 and she's been looking for this her entire life, and it has allowed her such relief. So if you're still in the doubts of why should this work, you probably heard lots of different couples counseling online and lots of different advice, but this is different, and that's what I wanted to show you. She's swearing here. I don't know what the beep, but I'm loving it. Okay, it's a choice daily. Yes. So I want to mention this, Sarah, as an example to get your hope and your mind open to see that there is a possibility, because Sarah was so stuck in her marriage. She had all the reason in the world to complain. There was stuff hanging down the ceiling. The kitchen table was falling apart. She couldn't get someone else to fix it. He'd get mad. He didn't fix it. So imagine that. And there was piles of his bike on the floor. He didn't have a phone. He didn't apply for benefits. She was the sole provider, and they had kids together, and him not having a phone was really frustrating. So I listened to her for an hour before she enrolled, and another hour, and I really felt with her, but I also knew that she couldn't stay in her story. But she enrolled and joined the program, and my first homework for her was to not complain or blame for 24 hours. So it's probably like 4 hours, because you sleep and you go to work, that she didn't blame him or complain, and magic happened. But if she hadn't enrolled and been enrolled, you don't just stop blaming when everything is like, you point to the problem, right? And she had so much reason to blame, more than I can ever even imagine. But he said, I love you, to her for doing the homework. And she hadn't heard, she couldn't remember last time she heard him say that. And he started looking for work, and he got a phone. So everything she wanted, she got from doing the opposite of her natural response and reaction, which is to point out the problem and the solution, the way that we see it. So guys, are you still with me on the chat? Let me know. Okay, so by now, I hope you're feeling, okay, this could work. I was really sad and miserable in my relationship, and I really wanted help, and I was looking online, I remember, for help. Okay, so why is it different? I'm different. I didn't go to coaching school, and it goes deeper than I feel statements. So these are not tactics and strategies that you learn. I want to just let you know a quick story about my first client. That's why this coaching is different, I think. So Rachel saw my online shows where I was really honest about how angry I was with my husband. Because I was so angry, no, not because I was so angry, because I was so honest about how angry I was, Rachel, who had tried literally everything, she just signed up. Yes, sign me up for the big program for a year. I'm with you. I'll do whatever you say, because I was so honest about my anger. She felt she was all alone in the world being angry because nobody else was honest about how angry they also got. So this just to give you an example of how different this is, or that the way that it's different. I have other great stories about how I got Rachel as my first client, but I'll give that later on. So honesty, I think, is what makes it different, and is one of my superpowers. So when you start lying to yourself, I can hear it, I pick it up, and I interrupt you. So if you're not interested in being honest, you might as well drop off now and not follow me anymore. Oh yeah, I'm not going to do that now. It's going to take a little time. I was going to tell you about Rachel and how I enrolled her, but you got the gist of it. Okay, so when I do the 3 quick steps, which I mentioned before, it's honesty. It always starts with honesty. So the 12 steps start with honesty. If you're doing AA, it starts with honesty. Hi, I'm an alcoholic, or hi, I'm a sex and love addict. I can't control my life. It's honesty, right? It's always step number 1. And then responsibility and choice. But this is the way I do my 3 quick ones, and I've implemented them in my life. So it's always honesty, responsibility, and then choice. And it's just, I do it without thinking now, but these are the 3 quick steps. And the 12 steps is when you really go deep in changing your habits inside of your head and your heart. And we'll get into how you do that. This is what I'm going to show you today. Okay. So a little bit about how I ended up in this work. So as you recall, I was very angry with my husband and I did an online show about it. And I didn't know I was going to become an expert because I'm an expert at being angry. I'm not an expert at creating, the world's best marriage, but I interviewed all the best experts in the world. And I loved the connection and the collaboration. It was great working with them and they gave me so many things and they were very, very helpful, but I couldn't use their advice. I couldn't go home in my marriage and use what they said about couples meetings because my husband didn't want to have couples meetings. He was instructed, or that just wasn't him. Okay. So all of their advice, it actually made me more sad because I couldn't implement it in my marriage. And none of them mentioned this that I'm about to show you today, which is so super, super simple. None of them talked about this. It was all more or less like strategies and tactics. So I interviewed Kelly Kosho. She does, the Ford Institute. The Debbie Ford Institute is amazing with shadow work. That's really changed the lives of hundreds of thousands. Very, very deep work. And as you can see, she was interviewed by Oprah. So many of the experts that I collaborated with had all been on Oprah, and they were great people and really good at what they're doing. And I could have done it without them. So I just want to say thanks to them. This Janet O'Neill, who created work-life balance for IBM, and it's Mark Goulstein. He does hostage negotiations for FBI. So he's great at communication. I'll admit you. And then there's Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., who I had the chance to collaborate with. His dad is the author of the 4 agreements, which the Navy SEALs use. So Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. and his father are very known for their amazing, amazing work. So I want to thank them and still let you know that this is different. Okay, so let me just get this out of the way. After this class, here's my promise to you. You will know how to manage your emotions. And you will know what to look at and change right now. If you're able to manage your emotions, I cannot promise you, but you'll know how, and you'll know what to look at and change. And you'll also know simple hacks to bypass miscommunication and get connection. Somebody's gonna unmute you. 2 seconds, or mute. Okay, you're muted now. Perfect. So, I'd floating menu. Why is this so important to learn? Why should you spend an hour and a half with me today, or just get into the world of this? Why? Because you either manage your emotions or they manage you. It's as simple as that. And here's another fact. If you're managed by your emotions, and when I'm talking about emotions, I'm not talking about bliss and peace and love. I'm talking about frustration, anger, the bad emotions, right? When you're managed by them, insecurity is in the driver's seat of your life. And this is what's going to happen sooner or later. You're going to drive off a cliff because you're focused on what you don't want. When insecurity is driving your car, you're going to drive straight towards what you do not want, off a cliff. Okay? So you're probably all dying to know, what is this big secret? The number one secret to communication is this. It's how you communicate with yourself. It's not about how you communicate with your husband. So understanding this, it is the stories inside of your head that you choose or automatically tell yourself, or that you've been telling yourself consciously or unconsciously your entire life, and when you're with your husband. All right. So that's the big secret. The secret to communication is it's how you communicate with yourself. It's not how you communicate with your husband. Hi out there in the Facebook world. Okay. So the number one thing women has asked me for help with is this. How do I communicate better with my husband and not lash out when he shuts down or I get angry at him? So I have an exercise that's called Get Real About How You Feel. And this is what happened when I did it. And I want you to think about and notice the feelings and the stories. And this shows you how you apply this secret in real life, the number one secret. So you admit to yourself, not him, A, how you feel, and B, what are you telling yourself? What are you telling yourself, either during your sense, that feeling of anger and frustration, or maybe before and after. But just notice how you feel and the story that you tie to that feeling. That's how you apply this secret in real life. That's what I'm going to just go through. So practice 100% honesty. Really get real about how you feel and what you're telling yourself. So this was me, the lion, and my husband. So notice she said when I get angry at him or he shuts down at me. So for me, I got really frustrated and angry when he shut down. And the more I was shouting to get him out of his shell, the more he would withdraw and hide and get into his shell. So when our husband shut down, we tend to get anxious and we want him back out, and we're missing the loving feeling and we get insecure. So when my husband would shut down due to something I said or did, it was always something I said or did, here's what I would feel. So my emotion was pain and my story was, it hurts. It hurts so bad, super dramatic. I don't know how you are, but then immediately after, I felt my feeling was pity. I felt like sorry for myself. I didn't think about him. I just felt sorry for myself. And the story I told myself was, why doesn't he love me anymore? Like, it was completely insane. Just because he shut down, I was telling myself the story that he didn't love me anymore. So I just want you to go through this with yourself or with me if we practice together. Then I felt blame. That was the feeling inside of me, like, you did this. So I really want you to answer in the chat right now. Have you ever felt vengeance? Like, have you ever felt, you did this to me, I'm going to get you back? I want you to be honest. Practice honesty now. There's no reason to sit here and be here and invest time in it if you're not going to get honest, okay? So please answer in the chat, just yes or no. I'm not going to call you out. I'm not going to name your name. Have you ever felt in your marriage, I stopped it after 7 years, vengeful? Have you felt, you did this to me, I'm going to get you back? Please answer. The next feeling I would feel when he shut down was your revenge, right? So first it was blame. You did this to me. And then I felt, I'm going to get you back. So this was the feeling, was revenge, and the story was, I'm going to get you back. It can also be defense. For me, that only happened once. My heart would close up, and the story I would tell myself as my heart, as I drew back and protected myself when I had that feeling, I got hurt, and I told myself, I'm never going to let him back in. I'm going to build a fortress around my heart. That was the story I told myself. And the feeling was like, protection. Then after he shut down, these were the exact emotions that I went through. It went really, really quickly. Then I felt frustration. And then the story I told myself was, I did it again. I ruined everything. That's the story I told myself. If you can relate, think about the stories you tell yourself when it doesn't go your way. If he doesn't do what you say, what do you tell yourself? He doesn't love me enough to take out the trash. What are you telling yourself? And what are you feeling? Then after I felt this feeling, frustration, I ruined everything again. This is a key point for me. Like, it goes into everything. Then I felt, I'm a failure at love. And this for me is the worst feeling at all. I could feel like, so I had a feeling, and the story I told myself was, I am a failure at love. That was my own conclusion. That was what my brain was telling me. So it can be hard to distinguish what is an emotion and what is actually a story. But I'm a failure at love. I could feel remorse. I could feel regret. I could feel like, but the story was this. And as soon as I hit that point, I was like, okay, fix it, undo, 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 undo. So that was what I was really, really keen on after, so all these emotions, I made him shut down. I felt blame. I felt all these things. And then I went to fix it. And when I'm trying to fix things, I do the exact opposite. So what stories are you telling yourself? Do you care to participate? You have the chance now in the chat. Okay. It's okay. Just admit it to yourself and start doing this work and think about what stories you're telling yourself. I have different examples of stories, but if you don't open up about what stories you're telling yourself, you're not going to get anywhere with this. This is really the first step. And the tricky part is that you shouldn't necessarily actually not share it with your husband. So share it with me, share it with the community that's made to hold you high on your leadership, and look at your stories, but also change them. But just write down what stories are you telling yourself. So here is a question for you right now. Do you want to be right? about all those stories that you're not sharing with me at the moment, but that I know are in your head, because we all have them. We all have inner dialogues all day long, right? So do you want to be right about that story, whatever it is, or do you want to get to connection? This is a great question, and I'm honored to be the one asking it to you. So if you said, okay, I don't need to be right, I'm willing to take a look at my stories and what I'm telling myself, because I want my loving husband back. I want that relationship. I really truly want a great relationship. Think about the love that you're able to feel. Think about what it feels like when you just made love. What if that could be your feeling all day around, all day long? What if you could get back to that feeling by choice? What if you could choose at any time to get that feeling? How great would that be? How would your life look like? What would it be for your kids? Okay, so what to do about stories? Awareness of your emotions. It's all about awareness. Emotions don't need to run you, but they're there. We can't ignore them. We can't ignore the stories. You can choose not to share them here. That's fine. I caught you off guard, but you get to look at it. Awareness of your emotions, and then what story follows the emotion, right? And actually, it's the story first that creates the emotions, but we'll get into that when you coach. With me, we'll get a little deeper into it. But for now, just look at your emotions and the story that you attach to it. And then change your story, which is the hard part. Here comes practice and implementing new habits. And you can't change a story if you're not admitting what story you're telling yourself. So how do we change our stories? Understand the power of your stories and your belief. And maybe you're not even aware of the story and the inner dialogue. That's natural that we're not aware that we're actually telling ourselves stuff all the time, but we are. So just think about that and be open to that idea. I'm not here to tell you anything. I'm here to open your mind and be open to the possibility that you have stories that run your life and your marriage. So understand the power of your stories and start noticing them, and then practice stopping your story. You can't change your story until you stop it. I'm so stuck in my story until I change it, until I stop it. So you can't change your story if you're not willing to stop your story. And stopping your story requires you letting go of being right. So I don't know if you remember the story about my son coming down from my ex-husband without his jacket on 15 minutes later than agreed, and we're catching a bus to Copenhagen, and he has no jacket on and it's winter. And it was so hard for me to stop that story, but he was so right. I've never stayed in a story for that long since doing this work. So it was a real setback. I think I stayed in it for 20 minutes or something. And my son was just like, you gotta stop it. And he was right. I just couldn't get that story out of my head that he needs a jacket on. I can't come to Copenhagen in the winter with my son. But whatever your story is, just stop it. Stop. Pretend to continue it, even if we know it's wrong. Okay, and then once you've stopped it, choose to tell yourself a different story. Okay, it's as simple as that. It requires a hell of a lot of practice. So here we come back to the 3 quick ones, as I call them. What is the internal process of this? It's always honesty. Admit your stories. Take responsibility. Hey, I'm the one actually telling this story. Am I not? You may feel frustrated and stuck in the fact that the kids need to go to bed on time to get up in the morning. The kids need a jacket on in winter when I'm going on a trip, and I can't buy a jacket every time I get the kids back. They never have a jacket on. But I am telling that story, and that story is not serving me. So what's the story you're telling yourself? You're telling, and it's not getting you anything you want. So take responsibility and ownership of it, and then choice. I can tell another story. It always comes down to these quick ones. You can't be responsible and admit that you're telling the story if you're not honest and admitting what story you're saying. So you don't get to responsibility, and you don't get to choice if you don't do honesty. And if you don't do responsibility, you don't feel like you have a choice. If you don't practice responsibility, you're going to feel stuck and disempowered. But when you practice first honesty, then responsibility, because with no honesty, no responsibility, then you start feeling empowered. Wow, I have a choice. I can tell a different story. I can laugh at the whole jacket thing. But if you tell your friends, they're going to say, yeah, that's too bad. You're right to feel that way, but that doesn't serve you. So why is this so important? Why is it so important to learn to manage your emotions? No, what is most important? We'll get back to why it's so important. What's most important in practicing this and learning to manage your emotions and actually hopefully master them. Inspiration and flexibility, just like your brain or just like your muscles need to be used, so does your brain. So we use the brain in the same way all the time. Just we think completely different, do something nuts. So have flexibility and inspiration. Otherwise, you can be rigid thinking the same thing. You're not going to be able to change. So just be open and be flexible. Okay, I tried something with my husband. He's not responding the way I want. Style flex, moon him, do something crazy. If you want something, don't do the same thing again. Like your husband's response is feedback to you. Is it working? And feedback is neutral, it's objective. So he may be a giant ass, whatever your story is, but it's not working. I am not creating the response I want. The response I want is love and connection. It's not happening. Let's try something different. Let's shut up, or let's go for a walk, or let's go to the gym, or let's jump into the ocean, or let's kiss him. Maybe kissing him will give you a better, response that you really want. Don't stay in the story. Train and entertain new thoughts and ideas. Be open to telling a different story. Just be open. You might not be able to, but be open. Okay, maybe try. Maybe I could say a different story. Let's try. I don't believe in it, but I'll try it. Just be open. And do not choose to be right about your story. Don't argue for your story. Like, I feel you. And Sarah, oh my God, stuff, a bicycle taken into all its pieces, oily stuff in a big pile in the middle of the living room, the lamps hanging down, the kitchen counter falling apart. You can't fix it or buy someone to fix it. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't have a phone. Like, she had all the reason in the world to stay in her story. But in order to get what she really wanted, she had to do her homework, not blaming. And it is so hard. And it's hard just shutting up. But if you try it, you'll see you get a different response. And you're like, wow, I created that. Something different happened that I really wanted. And then you start to realize you can lead by choice. You can, but not if you want to be right about your story. Tell that to somebody else. I'm not listening to it. I'll listen to it. I'll give you compassion. And it's annoying, I get it, but what do you really want? Do you want to be right about your story, or do you want to get to love and connection? Sarah got her loving husband back. For years, she was at the bottom of her life. I mean, she was so depressed, and I completely understand it. And just like that, the same thing for Isabella with twin boys, just like that. But not if you do the same things and argue, blah, 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 blah. No matter how bad it is, they've got it worse than us, right? Twin boys. And now she's got another one on the way and they're happy. So whatever we're going through, someone's had it way worse, and they took this teaching and this coaching, right? And they made it happen. So can you, and so can I. Just remember that. If they can, so can we. And nobody's been more stuck in anger and emotions than me. Trust me. If I can do this, it took a long time, but so can you. So, okay, how do we start this journey? Is that what you're wondering? I'd love to know in the chat where you're at. What are you thinking? I always want to know what people are thinking. But let's say you're thinking this, because I don't know, you're not sharing it with me, but how do I start this journey? Also out there, I have Satisha watching on Facebook. You start with practice. That's the key word. All you can do is practice. It's a better word than try, but it's what we do, right? Practice to manage your emotions one story at a time. If you're able to change it, perfect. If not, just look at it, admit it, see it, play around with it. So change habits one story at a time. One story that you come across, look at it, fail and recommit. You're still telling it, okay. Keep choosing honesty. And remember, stay at the end. Stay at the end. You do not want to miss out on this. How do I really feel? Keep choosing honesty. And stay connected in the chat. This is way easier if you're connected to not fall asleep, because this is a lot of talking and a lot to take in. Ask yourself, how do I really feel? That's what's most important. Okay, here's an important part. Danger, danger, do not do this. Do not, do not share what you're thinking or feeling with your husband. Not yet. You're not ready. Bet you 9 out of 10 times, 99% chance you're not ready. Do not share what you're thinking or feeling with your husband when you do this work. Honesty is about you, not him. because you're going to share, I feel you're like this, I feel you don't love me, I feel da, 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 da. So honesty is fairness and freedom from deceit or fraud. So remember, your stories are deceiving you. That's why you don't want to share with him what you're feeling, because if what you're feeling is not love, you can share it when it's love. If what you're feeling is not love, your stories and your emotions are deceiving you. The only true feeling is love. Everything else that you feel but love, it's a lie. That's why you don't want to share it with him. You can later on, and when you've made love, you're not going to never tell him how you feel, but for now, don't share it with him, because it's freedom from deceit or fraud. That is what honesty is. And the fraud that happens is the story that's convincing yourself that he did something wrong and all those things. Okay, so when I get to speak to my husband. So in the 12 steps, for example, you don't do it until step 10, honesty and vulnerability. When you've practiced all these other things and you got the honesty and vulnerability down, it may be I give you the first homework is to have an honest conversation and a vulnerable conversation. I did that with one woman. She had been married for 27 years, I think, and they lost intimacy a long time ago, and they got it back by an honest and vulnerable homework talk she was committed to. I'm really pushy when I coach people. Homework by when, faster, sooner than later. And she did it the next day. They got their intimacy back, and it had been, I don't know how many years. I think they were even married longer than, it was like 20 years. Many years with no intimacy, and they got it back. So there's power in this. So you get to talk to your husband when you're at step 10. You can, of course, talk to him. The important part is that you don't feel blame or anger inside of you, because we'll get into that. So honesty works together with vulnerability. So honesty is a superpower when used together with vulnerability. So the operative word is honesty about you, not honesty about him. So remember to use it with vulnerability, and look at these definitions. They're really, really great. Look at what it really is. Freedom from deceit or fraud, that's honesty. Vulnerability, open to assault, susceptible to being wounded or hurt. If you don't take a chance and a risk and be vulnerable, you won't get to connection, or you won't get to connection as fast. So honesty and vulnerability will get you there in a second. All the other steps can too, but honesty and vulnerability is a superpower. So when do I know if I'm ready to speak to my husband? Great question. Ask yourself, do I feel any blame inside? If yes, don't speak, may kiss him, go for a walk, go away. If you feel any blame inside of you, do not say anything. It's gonna come up, because another secret. It's not what you say that matters. It's how you feel when you say it. That's why you want to manage and master your emotions, because it doesn't matter. That's why I feel statements don't work. I feel like you're a giant idiot and I hate you. Or I feel like, and you can wrap it up nicely, but he will notice and take away and sense and get your feelings. Doesn't matter if you say, I feel. Your husband is going to get, actually his brain is going to shut down when you say, I feel, because he's going to know he's in trouble. He's never, ever going to understand your emotions, because he's just not wired. We don't even understand them. So why should he understand them? The only reason we're explaining our emotions to our husbands is because we don't understand them. We're trying to figure them out. So when you say, I feel, he knows he's in trouble. He's going to shut down. He's going to disconnect. It's the worst thing you can say to your husband. And that's why it's so funny that that's the advice you get out there. Use I feel statements. He's going to go, danger, danger. Okay, I can only lose when she says that, because he can't understand it. And he doesn't want to feel like a failure for not understanding you. So there's a lot to be said about this. So the next question, if you truly do not have any blame inside, and ladies, we know how good we are at indirectly blaming. Please level with me in the chat. I feel all alone here. Do you indirectly blame your husband? Isn't it just always his fault? And don't we just say it nicely? But when we look at what we're saying it's your fault and I'm okay to do what I did, right? But okay, let's play around with the fact that you feel no blame inside of yourself. Then you get to speak only when you ask yourself, what is my intention? What is my intention? Ask yourself that, and then ask yourself this question. Will what I'm about to say, or will me opening my mouth, or the actual stuff coming out of it, will it accomplish that? Will it accomplish what your intention is? Ask yourself. I know it happens so fast. If you get to ask these questions, you're very, very far ahead, further than me. What is my intention? It's a great, great billion-dollar question to ask before opening your mouth. It's amazing if you're able to. So if what you're about to say will get you what you want. You're going to say some form of I love you. Go ahead and speak and feel love for him. But if you don't feel love for him, change your inner dialogue. Get your heart and your head in the right space. Otherwise, it's going to be a waste of time. You're going to drive him away. So I know women, there's a complex I call, or a paradox that I call it. The more we seek connection with him, the more we talk to get connection, but the more we get disconnected. So I know you want to get back to connection, but words are not the way. Speak to yourself, change your own inner dialogue. Don't speak to him. Don't share your emotions with him. Don't explain yourself to him to get back to connection, because it's going to get him further away. So the more you talk, the more you disconnect, and the more he's disconnected, the more you want to go back to connection, and the more you talk. So this question, what do you want, is how I start all my sessions. It's how I start my call. If you book a call with me today, you're going to get my calendar link. You're going to get access to my calendar and to this amazing, amazing work and help that can really, truly change your life. This is what I ask. And this is the best management question you can ask yourself. And like, please ask or answer this in the chat right now so I can help you. I'm here to serve you. I'm 100% dedicated to your transformation and to you getting the love that you want and to you stop fighting. Show me some devotion, answer in the chat, what do you want? And get accustomed to asking yourself this question and thinking about what you want, not what don't you want, but what do you want? Let's get some answers in the chat. Come on. There's a reason you're here. This is the #1 best. There we go. Question. What do you want? Will opening my mouth get me that? Probably not. So your answer should be some variation of connection, love and connection, right? So think about that. That's what we truly want. But this slide just only wanted to look like that. So be aware, what we tell is what we sell, but here's what happens first. What we look for, we see. So you may think that something passes you by and you notice it, but most of the time you're looking for it. So remember, what we look for, we find. So if you look for evidence that he doesn't love you, or if you're looking for something, you're going to find it. So if you look for proof that he loves you, you'll find it. And if you're looking for proof that he doesn't, you'll find it. But actually, I'm going to get back to that. Looking for proof that he loves you can actually make you not find it, because you're already starting out from the point that he doesn't, and you want to get some evidence. But anyways, what we look for, we see, and what we see is what we get. And then what we choose to keep staring at grows. So this is the same as your stories. What we choose to keep looking at and telling ourselves, that just grows. So we keep looking at your own pain. It's going to grow, 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 grow. I did that at so many pity parties, and it was so sorry with me. I was like, oh, and I grew it myself by keep looking at it and telling myself that story. It's a choice. So what you look for, you find. What you see is what you get, and what you choose to keep looking at grows. What you just, it cultivates it. For some reason. So another big light bulb. Da, 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 da. So this is what I mentioned before. If you're like this, so we connect and everything is great. Some time passes by and our insecurity goes up. So if it's been a week or a month or a year, wow, let's play around with just a month. It's been a month since you last connected. You had sex, or you went on a romantic dinner, you had really great love and connection, and a week goes by, stuff starts to annoy you, the socks on the floor, the things, you start making this balanced scorecard. I do this for him, why can't he do that for me? And then another week passes by and your insecurity just goes up. And then you start looking for evidence. You have some kind of story that says he doesn't love me enough, or we can't be together, or I just can't do a relationship, whatever your story is. If you're not sharing it, I don't know, but let's assume it's, does he really love me? But your husband is the same. He didn't change. Time since last connection is all that changed. I'm sorry you can't see the slide up there on Facebook. So when time goes by or up since last connection, so does your insecurity. So notice, does the mess around the house matter after great sex? No. Why? Because all we want is love and connection. So all the other proof that you're looking for to find to see if he loves you they don't matter. Plus, you won't find it because you're already insecure. So insecurity is in the driver's seat because it's been time so long since you connect. As soon as you connect, it all goes away. Nothing matters. You're not looking for proof. You're not insecure, but you start looking for proof, and you start wanting assurance because it's been a month since you last connected. So just connect, get to connection, then it all evaporates. The big, issue of mess and money and everything, the big thing that was a huge thing, just goes away. How can that be? How can something that's a huge issue just evaporate into thin air after great sex? It's because you want love and connection, not something about your practical stuff. You don't want him to take out the trash or help more, or you don't want this, that, and the other. You want love and connection, and you're not being honest with yourself about what you truly want. You're staying in the story of I want him to help me more. I want him to do, I want us to talk about emotions. I want him to listen. The reason he can't listen is because we said so many words. So it's physically, he can't have any more words in his head or whatever it is. Okay, sum it up. Let's check the time. Okay, I've been going on for 50 minutes. So just going to sum up the content. I talk really fast and don't know about the feedback. You're very welcome. If you're watching this on replay, give me feedback. I'd love feedback on this. So manage your emotions one story at a time and get real about how you feel. Practice honesty and vulnerability. That's the sum up, I'd say. The 3 takeaways. And the important, do not call your girlfriends or mom. I think I misspelled that. Don't call them and be honest about how he makes you feel or how you feel, because they're just going to tell you you're right. It's not going to help you at all. So stop doing that. Do not do that. Don't call somebody who's going to say, yeah, it's right. He should do that. It's not going to get you to love and connection. And do not try to make your husband understand how you feel. You barely, we don't understand how we feel, really, truly. So how could we expect him to? Think about who you're trying to explain it to and what you're trying to say. Just take that off the table. You may later on get to a different point, but if you're just starting out this work, it's most efficient you can do. It's really just stop talking. But find a safe community with a good leader and share it in there. A good leader is somebody who's going to interrupt your stories. Otherwise, it's going to become a bitching party, a complaining pity. How many times I found myself with my girlfriends moaning and blaming about my husband? It doesn't help at all. That's why I'm going to get to the one thing that you can do later that you should really stay around for. So what's the price of not learning to manage your emotions right now? What's the price of you just listening to this and not starting the training and not doing anything about it? So I know from experience what the cost is, and it's not small. It's bigger than we imagine, and we don't want to look at it. We don't want to think about it. It's years of fighting. You're a bad role model. You pass it on to your children, or pass it on to theirs. You don't live out your full potential at home or in business. Your personal growth will never supersede your professional. You're not going to go further at work either if you don't learn how to manage your emotions. Not at all. You're going to live a roller coaster life. You're going to exhaust yourself and your family. Your kids will never know when the next explosion is. You probably have PTSD. I know I have, from growing up in a war zone. And that's what they're going to experience too. It is so stressful. I remember shouting with Theodore in my arms, and you just feel his little body, he was not very old, like shaking. So it's super, super traumatic. Maybe it's not as bad at your house as it was in mine, but still, this is how I ran around before I learned how to manage my emotions. This is how you're going to run around if you don't start doing this work. And look at the stories that you're telling yourself. Learn how to manage your emotions. So I just found this and put it in because I can tell you all these things. You can know all these things. It doesn't matter what you know. The only thing that matters is what you do and what you implement as a habit. Habit is the key word. So I promised to give you something if you stayed with me. I'm excited to see how many. Yeah, we have somebody in the chat. I just found where we typed in the chat. Okay, somebody found that. Perfect. Thank you. So you're welcome to share your stories. But for now, if people can't find the chat, you're all forgiven. But Joy found it. Are you ready to change your stories, ladies? Are you ready to change your stories? I'm going to give you the best advice. The best thing I ever did is going to come right up. Are you ready to change a few words around? Just a few words, if not a whole story. How about just changing a few words? I'm telling you that really does the trick. It is really magic. Are you ready to get really honest? Yeah. Not so much. Do you want to get a better relationship? Answer in the chat, please. Do you want to get a better relationship? Do you want the match? Woo! Building up momentum. Or not falling asleep. So here it is. The best promise you'll ever make, choice and commitment. If you make this today, right now, right here with me, make this choice, make this commitment to, drum roll, don't say or think a negative word about your husband. So if you think he's slow, say efficient. Sorry, I'm so excited, I'm spitting. Whatever it is that's negative that you're thinking about your husband, flip it to the opposite. If you think he's incapable of movement, say grounded, or incapable of actions, he's grounded or present, or he's flip it around to the positive, or whatever you do. If you don't even flip it around, that's okay, but just don't say it and don't think it. That's why you shouldn't call your girlfriends and your mom. You're going to keep saying negative things because you're in a place you don't want to be. You're desperate. You don't know how to change it. So you reach out for help to alleviate the pain. It doesn't work. Stop doing that. Stop talking to your friends about things that are negative about your husband that you wish he'd change. Change yourself. Then he'll change. You saw it in Isabella with twins, man. She's got 3-year-old twins and pregnant again. If she can do it, so can we. This is the best promise you'll ever make. You'll break it, I know, but make it. Break it and make it. Don't say or think a negative word about your husband. Get really stubborn about that. So many times we talk to a friend and they start bitching and complaining about their relationship, and I get into just stop, just be really stubborn and turn it around. Make a game out of it and just flip it around and just refuse to play on that. Refuse to say or think a negative word. If you notice it, change it. Make that decision and then fail and recommit. Fail and recommit. Okay. So we've been together for about an hour. What's going to happen tomorrow or later on today? It's evening here in Denmark. It's morning in California. So when we pop off here, you're going to remember about 5% of what I said. You're going to change maybe 1% if you're lucky, probably not change a lot. This is just the statistics of how average learning retention rates. So a lecture, 5% maximum. So I'm just giving you the honest truth. And also, I also want to sell to you. Definitely, I do. I want to sell you the idea of doing it. I want to sell you the training. I want to sell. Definitely. So 3 things can happen right now or tomorrow when we end our session today. You can do nothing and go back to normal. I don't know how your normal is. Mine wasn't very, very, very nice. It was very awful. You do this alone and you can see some improvements, and then you'll probably go back to normal if you do it alone. Or you can get support and community, which I happen to have. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't at all. Just find it and get it. Please do that, because it's a waste of time to try to think. It's like peeing in our pants. It doesn't work what we do automatic. And we can't change it alone. We can't interrupt our own stories. We just don't. So do you want to see option C about working in the community, or do you want to go to Q&A? I'm going to leave it up to you, ladies. You want to take Q&As first? I know some of you only reserved an hour, so that leaves 5 more minutes. I'm going to go keep talking. It's going to be an hour and a half, and it's going to be recorded, so replays come out. Okay, we'll take Q&As afterwards, and you're going to get to see option C, the way that it be when you train with me. No, this is actually in general. So training and support and community. You're trained by a strong mentor. Well, I don't know how other people do it, but when you do it with me, you apply the teaching now. You go, you implement, you get homework, you do it. I give you homework straight away, and it's by when it's maximum 24 hours to do your homework. So you get to try this out and experience. And that's how you do all these things. And if you actually want to extend this, you can also become a Lead with Love, a certified Lead with Love coach, and start teaching it to others. But for now, you're going to get 75% of this when you go into a community and you train it. Intimate mentor group. What I mean about this, I'll get into that. It's a group and a place where you can really, really be honest. We take our clothes off. We get not literally, but we're who we truly are. We're more honest than we are with our friends or our husband. We practice honesty in a whole different way. That's how we can change. We can't change if we don't take our clothes off. We're just going to stay with the armor on. Share experiences. You're going to have great celebrations and you're going to have downers, and we're going to be there to catch you. I'm going to show you all this honesty and vulnerability. This is what you get in a support and community training environment. This is option C, right? So these are the options. Do nothing, do it alone, or do it with somebody. You get new behavior in your marriage now. We cry, we laugh at our own ass. I just made that up as I was walking because it rhymed, because I have this, it makes sense because I call it ass. And it's a thing I play around with in my coaching, that we can't see our own ass, but finally when we're able to turn our head around, we look down, that's what we see, and we don't like it. Okay, so we celebrate together. It's a small private group with other women. There's mentoring, accountability, and there's 24-hour support. So when you train with me, I give you 24-hour support. There's time difference, so there might be a little gap, but I'll get into that and show you how you really do get 24-hour support. And we take it one step at a time. So the first principle to apply this is stay on your own turf. That's the number one rule. And then number one step is honesty. And then we practice another step. And we put with the principle, stay on your own turf. So we implement one step at a time. So I want to just show you some examples here. Of course, I love it when people say, but you're right. But I want to show you 27 comments. I don't give up. You should stay to the end, because that's when I give you my Calendly link. So if you want Q&As instead, guys, just tell me in the chat. I see some people are dropping off. That's fine. But if you want Q&A, I'm happy to take Q&As. I know I would want a lot of answers if it was me sitting there still stuck fighting. So you get someone who's dedicated until you get to see it, right? I answered 19 times, I ended 24 times. I'm ready to start. I feel the push. So please point me in the right direction. Direction is so important when you do coaching or training. It's just to get the right direction. Otherwise, you spend so much effort doing something and it doesn't pay off. Okay, so I don't give up on you. I will give you the right direction. I'm very persistent as a coach. And we have a whole team loving you up. And you can see the wins that we share together. And it's great to have that community. My son asked for sugar, and I was surprised, and then he actually listened. And this is it's great to have somebody who asks how you're doing when you implement the homework. What are your results? And this is just to give you an example of what it's like coaching with me in my group coaching. And I will be there all the time. You may not need as much help as I'm giving you, but I'm all over you about your transformation, rooting for you. And I'll challenge you to do things different. It's going to be fun. It's going to be hard. It's a lot of hard and fun work. Homework and more love in your life. So this is just an example. Yes, I was calm and happy in mood even when we were 45 minutes late to my sister's party. I enjoyed the ride. This is very new for her. It was new for me too. And looked at the bright side of taking a detour to avoid traffic. That would never have happened before she did this training. Today, my husband and I went to a record shop in Hollywood. We held hands. They were very stuck. And he opened the car door for me. Very new thing. Also, we fooled around in bed, no intercourse because I'm not ready, but it was enjoyable. We fell asleep on the couch, holding hands and watching a baseball game. Isn't that beautiful? I don't know how stuck you are in your marriage, but people can be very stuck, and this is what you can get out of it. And my whole team is here to provide you videos and calls and love. And it's great to wake up to the video and feel at least I'm doing something right. We really need the support because we just feel, or I just felt like a failure all the time. I can't get it right. And failure. Like failure as a wife, failure as a mom. You need somebody to love you up and know and rooting for you and you're doing it right. I can't wait for this journey together and see what else I can become in our time together. It is amazing. And this is what it looks like. This is honesty, responsibility, and choice. This looks a little technical. So you get to understand your husband better because I have tons of great research and I picked out just the one you need to know, more understanding about his brain versus yours. And you'll be more patient with your husband and you will understand the difference. You'll see it, you'll know his perspective. And I got funny brain scans. So when you complete my training, you will, this is my bold statement. You'll have the capability, you won't maybe always do it, but you'll have the capability and the competence to access infinite love at any time, because step number 12 is fail and recommit. You get to see that as a victory. Woo! You can't see the slides out there. So module 1, if you do this training with me, the first week is, of course, admit and acknowledge. You let go of shame. I forgot to go. It's module 1 is let go and release the past. You let go of shame in week 1. And secrets, you release your past patterns, you open up to change, you practice honesty, admit and acknowledge. And these steps go deeper and deeper, but that's just the surface of it, is to admit your stories and practice honesty. And then step number 2, this is a 3-month course I'm talking about. That's why it's only 1 week. When you do 1 year, you have 1 month for each. But week 2, you practice accept and surrender. Let go of control, become able to receive love and be ready for change. And in week 3, we practice trust is love. It's also a magical step and habit. Stop looking for evidence that he doesn't love you. You remove insecurity from the driver's seat. Have a great lesson for that about Sarah, a monkey sitting on your shoulder. You'll be able to just feed Sarah some bananas when you start talking with the insecurities talk. And you're going to laugh at it, and your life is just going to be so much easier and better once you've completed the first 3 steps. Every new moment has endless possibilities. That's where you're going to get after module 1. You'll know every new moment has endless possibilities. The past is history. So after module 1, you've let go of your past. You know that every new moment has endless possibilities. Then in module 2, you start to learn to lead. So week 4 is take 100% responsibility. Step 4. You start to play around with you being a leader. You notice what you can create. You see a different effect on your husband. And week 5, you practice gratitude. You adjust your attitude and you see things different. You start thinking different. And step number 6, give to get. You change your behavior. Your automatic becomes changed. You respond different. You resolve the problem and you resolve it fast. You really have the solution. Like I'm going to show you the video where we see how she did the ones with the twins. And that is actually what she got. She got the solution. She never had that before. So when you start to lead, this is a quote from Wayne Dyer, or like he said, when you look different at these things around you, when you start, the things around you start changing. When you start changing the way you look at things around you, they start changing. So everything around you is a consequence of what you send out. That's another way of saying it. This is what you start to embody this sentence in module number 2. But first, module 1, you release the past and the guilt and the shame and the secrets. Then you start to lead. Then you can see that everything is a consequence of what you send out. If you're still in remorse and pity, you don't want to look at everything as, oh, it's my fault again, right? You get to release the past first, and we start to lead. And then it doesn't become uncomfortable to know that you're responsible. It's actually a good thing. And then in module 3 starts the transformation. So step 7, you get your brain, you do your self-love activities. Mine is jumping, but make it into the freezing ocean. You get your brainwave into alpha brain state. You produce more love in your life. You have more love to give, and what has been annoying is not annoying anymore because you've built your own love up inside of you. So that's what we practice in step number 7. More energy, more happiness. And step 8, here's the magic. That's what I gave to her as a homework assignment the first time I talked to her. So we made the steps are not linear like that, but except for step 1, honesty, and step 12, fail and recommit. They're kind of, you always start with honesty and get to fail and recommit sooner or later, some really fast. And that's great too. So step 8, no blaming. Here, you test your leadership. You say and do things differently than you otherwise would. That's how the transformation starts. You shift and you transform. Exactly like Sarah did. She shifted and transformed. I still can't believe it, but there is the proof. Just from not blaming for like really only 4 hours, he said, I love you. It works, ladies. So step 9, no pity parties, one of my favorite ones. I was so stuck in pity parties, and I heard this lady on YouTube who said, stop hosting your own pity party. And when I remembered that line, I just started laughing where I would otherwise, get wired up to start crying, feeling sorry for myself. Stop hosting your own pity party. Step number 9, no more wasted tears or years. I actually wrote years by mistake. So it was supposed to be tears. No more wasted years or tears. Stop producing proof that he doesn't love you. No more self-inflicted pain. I love stop hosting your own pity party. And just, we get to notice when we do it. So this work you take with you for the rest of your life, and you don't forget it, because you don't shrink in once you're aware and you transform. You can't go back. So this module actively expands your capacity to receive love. I can get into that in Q&As, but it really does. It's like you train your muscle, what you believe you're worthy of love. I see it like this box, and then you hit the upper ceiling and it just becomes bigger and bigger. Of course, with infinite love, but we don't know that. And it transforms your news stories into your outside love life. Yeah, you will start to see it really change around you. So everything outside is going to change. So here comes module 4. So step 10, 11, and 12. Now you do step 12 many times throughout the program, fail and recommit. You do it many times. You don't wait until the end. You get there fast, and it's victory every time. But step 10, honesty and vulnerability, you practice that in week 10, you practice that. You get instant connection. You see the power you hold, you experience getting your love back like that. That's my promise to you when you practice step 10. Step 11, love him or leave him. So that's not meant for you to leave him, but to be conscious that you have a choice. Nobody asked you to stay in this marriage. So you're there, you give it all you got. He's your love. You don't say or think a negative thing about him. Why would you? It reflects poorly on you. You chose him. He's the love of your life. He's in your life for a reason. So hold yourself and him higher, right? And just choose that love consciously every day. You love him or leave him. Okay, I'm going to love him. I'm not going to leave him today. You choose him actively. You become grounded in faith and trust. You don't have all these should I, could we be together or not? All these, just I choose him or I lose him. What do I choose today? And week 12, of course, fail and recommit. You stand strong in your leadership. So when you graduate 3 months after, only 3 months it takes, then you really stand strong in your leadership. You know the gift of learning, you know the gift of failing and recommitting. The reason why it's so important is because commitment should really be called recommitment. I think there's a quote from Gay Hendricks about that, because that's when you tell yourself, the world, God, everyone around you, I choose this again. I failed, but now I choose it. It's not like you tried once, you fail, you never do it again. That's how you become a champion, is when you recommit. So the failing is really important, because then you get to recommit, and it's just great. It's great to fail. Always celebrate your failures. I do that with my son. Another point, failing, you wrote something wrong. Yeah, that's great. It's great to fail, because you get to stand up again, be stronger. So gift of learning in everything that triggers you about your husband. This is when you harvest your gold. So you're excited about this? I am super excited about this, as you can sense. So the rest of your life, when you've trained with me, you fail and recommit. And this is what Gay Hendricks said to me, and in a book. So think about that. Commitment is recommitment. It means you will fail, and it's great. It's victory. It's victory. So I have a bonus for you right now. Let me share this in the chat quickly. My calendar link. If you schedule a call with us today, you get lifetime access to this training and this material, which is crazy in itself. I don't know what the value is. It's a lot. If you apply now, I will. Oops, I get to stop full screen to share my calendar link in the chat. Here we go. So book a call now. You're not committing to anything. It's an invitation. If you're not a match, we're not going to give you an offer. So you still get a bonus. So if we connect and we figure out, if we do take advantage of talking to me at least. But if we figure out it's not a match, you still get a bonus, even though you don't sign up. You get a bonus for applying now, which is you get my ebook, which I spelled wrong in this slide. It's called Words to Use in Order to Choose Love. And it goes through the remove verbal garbage exercise, what I talked about, never say or think another negative thing about your husband. It takes you to the depth of it, where you see why he's in front of you. There's a whole story around it that's excellent to get your honing, and you're going to be grateful for everything that used to beep, annoy the beep out of you. You're going to see exactly why it's that way. So that mini ebook is great. You're going to get that if you apply, and you're also going to get the 12 steps audio files to listen to, even if you don't sign up. But just for applying now and booking a call with me, you get those 2 gifts. And words to use in order to choose love. I'm going to do a whole session on how amazing that is, to figure out that I needed patience, be grounded. It was always my feedback that I lacked those things. And when I flipped around, what annoyed me most about my husband, I saw that it was that. Being slow is being patient, and being unable to take action is grounded, being thorough, and all the positive of the negative that used to trigger the beep out of me. When I saw that, didn't trigger me anymore. So do that work. Apply now. Use this link. I will throw it away. Not throw it away. I will share it. And I want you to use it. Okay. So if you do decide to start up with me and do the training, you get 1 hour deep dive with me before we start, where we really get into what do you want? Why is that important to you? What do you want? Why is that important to you? That's going to set you in the right direction for the training. So your mind is really in the place, because we automatically think about what we don't want. So that 1 hour deep dive before we start is so valuable. And you also get one-on-one calls between the training. So this is group coaching, because it's better and it's better leverage of time, but you get one-on-one calls in between the training. So we have weekly meetings where we meet and you get homework, but you also get, apart from the accountability from the team, where we write to each other, we're on Facebook, we do lives, you get on the phone with me, one-on-one between the calls, me or somebody from the team, can be everywhere, but you get one-on-one calls. The first ones to start booking will get me personally. That's your bonus for applying now, to taking action and being committed to really changing your emotions, or changing your leadership of your emotions once and for all, to be able to manage them so they don't manage you. I want you to do it. That's why I'm giving you this bonus for doing it now. Why wait? Why wait? You know, you can have all the love you want in the world forever. Why would you wait and not do it? So please share this link right now. My calendar is still open. I just opened it up. Share it, share it, share it with girlfriends complaining about their husband. If you start talking negative, don't speak back with them about the negative. Just give them that link. Say, go have a talk with Samantha. Give them that link. Thank you, ladies. Now, I would love it if you have some questions. We have 15 minutes left for Q&A. Otherwise, what I could do is actually stop screen sharing. Any questions for me? Okay. Okay, so we just watched the video from what one conversation can do for a lady with twins. Amazing. So do you have any questions to the audience out there now with me live? Is there anything that you feel would be helpful for me to elaborate on for the woman listening to the replay who's getting this out? I'm going to be sharing this on YouTube and on to my email list. So any word of advice from the audience? I have tons of questions I could dive into, but anything right now? Any comments on the video? I didn't share it in here because I don't know if she wants me to share it to the whole world. But basically, that was quite a transformation. And it's hard for me even to understand that one conversation can change her entire love life. So questions at the end? How, I have some here we go through. How do I keep, how do we stay in empowerment when we just want to give up and we don't see the light at the end of the tunnel and it's all bloom and, you know, I don't know if that's a word. It's all dim and you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's a question I got here, and I get what it's like to feel that way. So this is a quote from one of my stepdad's movies from a woman in South Africa who lived in solitude in the middle of the desert. And she said it, if you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, you get to go down there and light it yourself. I think that is the best answer to that question. Stop talking. That doesn't work. So the most efficient way and the most effective way to start right now in your relationship with creating more love is to stop talking. Just know that even though you would love to know everything that goes on in his mind, He does not want to know everything that goes on in yours. So give what's love to him. Give love to get love because you produce it, but give what's love to him. So kiss him, make love to him, and that will create the love and connection where you build up more love. You can also go outside of the marriage. That's what we practice in step number 7. Go to the forest, go exercise, and you produce more love. You come home energized and you don't care about the small little things. So you're responsible for producing that state of mind. It can also be you need to tap into your life's mission, do some work that's inspiring and important to you, and be responsible enough to build it up so that when you come home, the small little details don't annoy you. If they annoy you, don't expect him to change it. You may ask for help, but be completely okay with the fact that he doesn't do it because A, he might not hear you because you've talked so much, he can't have any more words in his head, or B, underneath what you're telling him, you're blaming him. And here's the thing I'd like to say that I should have included in the presentation. So a very, very important thing to understand about your husband is that he's been told his entire life by women that he's doing something wrong. First, it was his own mom, then his teacher, because his brain is wired completely different from sitting and taking notes and listening verbal messages. His brain, one half just is spatial, to throw something to him to get his attention. So because of the way his brain is wired, he's been told his entire life by women that he's doing something wrong. So when you start speaking, even if you have no blame inside of you, he's just going to hear you're doing something wrong again, again. So he can't win. So when my boys, they jump over and say hi to me, they hit me like that, a loving hi, I say, ow, it hurts. So on a good day, I just say, ow, it hurts, stop it. On a bad day, I yell at them for hurting me and hitting me, thinking but they're in their natural nature. It's called aggression nurturing. So when they're just being themselves, they get met with you're wrong, you're doing something wrong. So when they come to you, and especially if you have that tone of voice, they're just hearing their mom. They're being told off like they're little boys. They want to be big men. They don't want to be little boys. So for various reasons, the amount of words that you utter, the way his brain is wired, the way he's always been told he's doing something wrong again, and the way that you wrap it up nicely, but you're actually telling him he's doing something wrong, all those reasons. So when you give him a simple message, and he doesn't do it, that's the reason why, because you've said too many things. So if you do ask him, be completely okay with him not doing it. Don't use it as an excuse to complain, because just stop blaming, complaining. And if you're not able to do that, stop talking. So we tend to say everything we think. Don't think out loud. Stop talking is the most efficient way to create some more love in your life, in your relationship right now. Number 1 advice, cut your tongue out. Kiss him. You can't talk when you're kissing him. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed it. If there's no more questions, I'm going to round it off. Do use my calendar link. Take advantage of that. Also, if you're watching it on YouTube or replay, book a session with me. You won't regret it. It'll be fun. It'll be different. I don't know how other coaches do it. I didn't take any. I got asked this, and it was actually quite a compliment. Wow, you're so good at this. What's your formal training? It's my 10-year marriage. I'm a master at not being able to manage my emotions and being managed by them, to transforming it around and figuring out how to manage them. My marriage is my coaching education, and my kids and all my mistakes. That's my formal education. And I love that answer. And I love, of course, that you said I was so good at it, but you don't learn this at coaching school. So this is just life school, and it's honesty. Get real, get honest. You can do anything for everybody and yourself if you're just honest. So that's me. That's it for now. Much love from Denmark. Joy, good to see you. Nice to see you here. Suze, nice to see you too. Hope to see you again. Stay in contact, stay in connection. Hope to see you in my calendar to have 1 hour talk. That's amazing, amazing opportunity. Okay, bye-bye.